So what I've rigged up here is I've got, this is the Sandbox mod, and I've got some decks that I've put together, and these decks are based around an idea of the 50s, so very, very limited missiles, if at all. If they are, they're very early Scalos missiles, self-propelled guns, and what do they call those ones? Recoilless rifles. The helicopters are utility helicopters, sometimes with machine guns, but very low end. The aircraft are all that kind of era. I've tried to make it that era, and the tanks are all 50s style tanks as well. I've made a Commonwealth deck that is based around that. Let me find that. So I've got not a Commonwealth deck. What did I say? Commonwealth. An American deck, a British and Commonwealth deck, and a Euro deck. Hang on, let's get this Euro deck out. Euro 1950, there we are. And they're up against, I'll just go medium here, they're up against a communist 1950s deck. I didn't want that. Let's go for a 6,000 point win condition on this one. And let's give it some what for. Here we are. Let's go. Now this map is kind of direct, so we don't get too awash with strategic movement elsewhere. It'll be a fairly direct fight. I've only got 350 points to play with. So I've got Fusiliers, and yes, I know they've got heat rockets, but for the sake of argument, both sides have their bazookas, right? That's kind of where we're at. And there's a limited amount I can do to cut that down. Both sides are going to have anti-tank weaponry of various kinds. I'm going to go for numbers here. Initially, I want to get them on the road. And I will try and do some... funding is a challenge, so let's get that out. And let's get this party started. So, I'm going to unhook these to give us Charlie. And let's get going. I really want to try and get into that town if I can. Let's do move fast. Move fast. Get into that town. And let's see how we get on. The anti-aircraft weaponry is kind of limited to trucks that have 4-barreled anti-aircraft guns. I've tried to avoid anything that has radar ability and that kind of thing. So most of the stuff on the field is 50s artillery, recoilless rifles. There's some good tanks around for that age, so there are Centurion tanks. The Americans have their M48s, the Russians have the T-55s, and so on. And there are some equivalences I had little choice. So the Americans don't really have Jeeps anymore, so I've had to have them using Humvees, but fair enough. The aim here is not to have any, or try to avoid having killer technology that is so outmatching that it deforms the game. And it makes it a more basic fight. And I've found in a bit of testing that what this does, which is tricky, is some of the strategic moves that I make, I don't know about others, but I make using Helo lift to win games is not available in this. So that thing where you can bypass the dumb computer just by using some tech isn't an option for you. And that means that it's trickier to get an advantage against the CPU, because the only advantage you can get isn't by a tech lift like a helo lift. It's going to be an actual head-to-head move where you select the right kind of low tech to beat the opponent if you can. Oh, that P5, if he drops a bomb, that's going to be unpleasant. You can see the air-to-air, sorry, the ground-to-air defense is not great. We've got these, like these kind of AA weapons. What both sides I've tried to limit them to. So you have them, but they're not going to be dominating in the way some weapon systems are if you allow 1960s or 70s or 80s. Holy crap, I just lost every vehicle. What the hell hit me there? So, oh wow, okay, that was painful. Look at the crater that thing made. Okay, how are we doing for points? We've got 3 points at Charlie, 2 points at Alpha, and what do we got here? 4 points by holding Bravo. So it's going to be important that I hold Bravo. How are we doing for points? So the computer has 625 points. It's winning right now. Let's see. Right. Try and bring some good old wombats in. I've lost a lot of troops in this town. They were only territorial.
It always comes down to the
Split these guys. Get you guys into different buildings here. If I can.
It always comes down to the infantryman and his right. If the enemy's in range, so are we. Platoons formed and ready. Platoons formed and ready. What can infantry do for you, sir? It always comes down to the infantryman and his right.
This town is taking a walloping, whatever's hitting it. Let's try and get some more infantry to come forward.
Sir, yes, sir. Platoons formed and ready. Sir, yes, sir.
Right now, we got some of our own artillery going on here now. Right now, it looks like we're outpointing the enemy, so... I wouldn't mind if my own artillery didn't freaking kill me. What the hell? What are you doing, computer? What are you doing?
The only good enemy is Sandbox. What's the problem, sir? Break time's over, people. We're on the move again.
CPU's playing a cage game here. What is this? Oh, we might get him, maybe. Yeah, he's evac'd out. Okay, so I got some recon units coming in because I don't have a good view of the opponent here, so recon's so important. bring in a few Centurions and see what they make of the business. Holy moly, what the hell was that? Okay. Rough. I don't know what these mini explosions, these mini nukes are, but they're not nice. Whatever they are. What the heck? So that weapon that the Red 4 side have, it's like destroying entire city blocks. I just watched it land. Oh my goodness. That is rough. Right, yeah, I've had enough of that. Get in there and go and have a look. Scout formation. Go and see what you can find there. Try and kill that artillery if you can. It's maiming me.
What are your orders, sir? It's starting to get dangerous here. Someone call for attack.
I don't know if it's the Americans bombing the British, but blue on blue. Blue on blue! We're still like 1,000 points behind the CPU at this point, but we hold a lot more map, and I think we'll overtake them now. But we will see. They do have a head start. Well, something killed my Centurion, so they've still got some teeth somewhere. So these cautions obviously have some form of missile aboard, but it's fairly rudimentary. And I'm assuming they don't have very many of them either.
adds a little
Okay,
fluff
let's see
to
what we
would
can...
otherwise be an ugly fight. Let's get some fire.
One of the other benefits about messing around with decks like these is it makes you use units that you would ordinarily not bother with. Like, they're beneath you. But here you don't have a choice. Which can make it an interesting experiment to try out. I would never ordinarily use the abbots. I'd always have MLRS or some heavier stuff, AS90s. But in this game, the artillery is more limited. It's not factually 1950s artillery. But then the game has certain limits I can't do much about. For an example is that in the 50s, we would have had 80 guns, so 17 pounders and things like this, and there's no option for that in the game.
Artillery adds a little fluff
So
to what would
you have
otherwise
to
be an
allow a
ugly fight.
little bit of options for how you're going to deal with tanks.
10 degrees up. Fire.
Right, let's advance with our troops here to that town. It's quite fitting. It's highly inaccurate and semi-useless. So it fits the bill, I guess.
We're in a combat zone right now.
I don't know if the enemy fob is dead or whether they've recovered it, but we'll find out in due course. I have to say that in playing Wargame RedDragon, certainly in the Sandbox, get the impression the CPU breaks after a period of time. Like, it will make heaps of supply units, like heaps of them, but it'll then do strange things with them. And for example, what the hell is it doing here? Bizarre. So let's see, where's the enemy gathering? He's gathering in that area there. Okay, so that road needs to be hit and hit hard. So
Artillery adds a little class to what would
let's
otherwise
see
be an ugly
what we
fight.
can do.
Fire, destroy them. If the enemy's in range, so are we. It always comes down to the infantryman and his rifle.
We've closed the point gap. It's now 2,200 versus 2,900, so the gap is a bit smaller.
Trouble.
And of course, the difference with the Sandbox mod is that the fob is very close to, for real purposes, unlimited resource. You can drain them if you go after them with enough, but you have to go after them with a crazy amount. And the nice part about the Sandbox mod is that it stops the end game problem where you're out of fuel, you're out of ammo, the fobs are empty, and you're basically fighting a depleted battle where no one can really move or fight anymore, and it just starts to burn a lot of time. This actually fixes that, because your supply units can go back to the fob, and although you can still find that your offensives kind of come to a halt, you can replenish a front and then go again, which is something that really falls away in the standard game once you've used your supply units and the fobs. And I don't think that there's any reason for that to be that way, so this makes more sense in terms of the game can be played through to an end. I wouldn't even mind if the game had limited supply units, because of course the other thing you get is unlimited. Well, I say unlimited, you get a very large number of units is what you get. So your supply units, in this case I've limited myself just to M35 cargo trucks to mimic, you know, simplistic cargo trucks for the 1950s. I have 10,000 of those, so for the purposes of the game, I'm not going to run out of supply units, but in the standard game, running out of supply units when you have a nominal number of them, I wouldn't mind that so long as the fob had enough to sustain the longer fights, but tends not to have, so
Ready to fire.
that's the issue with the standard game, why I tend to stick to the Sandbox mod. By setting a low income on the Sandbox mod, you can mimic the standard game, whereby you can't just flood the map. It offers you all the high income options, but if you take the low income, then you can have a strategic game down to unit level, pretty much like the standard game, just with the advantage that the fobs are not drained out in the same way. So I would describe the Sandbox mod as moving away from perhaps like a battalion or section fight into a more divisional fight because of the numbers. Depending on how you rig the game up. There we go. So we didn't reach the 6,000 points, but we did achieve victory. Let's have a look here. see what we got. The Centurion Mark 11's got a few kills, which I would expect, because they are like at the better end of tanks in that age frame. But the rest of the units, nothing at least in my army that was like killing vast swathes of the enemy in a imbalanced way. So quite good. Not bad, not bad. So we'll try that again sometime.